sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to Dave's Tackle Box. It's Sunday, the 9th of February 2014. We've got quite a busy show lined up tonight. I've got a couple of guests. It's one that I won't say old friend, because that would be quite offensive. But somebody you haven't seen for a while. And then I've also got a very, very special guest tonight, a representative of the UK Vapers Independence Political Party, who's coming along to tell us all about what they're up to. And Tim and I are going to ask him some questions and find out what they're up to. But we're going to start tonight's show, as usual, with the titles. Roll them. And welcome back. This is the guy I was on about. It's Tim.
Hi everybody.
Tim Boniface. Where have you been, man? Where have you been?
Well, it's been a while, hasn't it? I mean, I've been around doing radio, doing Team Talk, but I haven't been on Sunday for a little while now, mate. It's been quite a while.
I don't think it would be pushing it too far to say it's been too long.
Indeed, absolutely
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, certainly, I've missed you. But you said you've been doing some radio, RY4 radio.
Yep,
So,
indeed.
Tell us how that's going.
It's going really, really well now, I must admit. Better than I could have expected. We needed to make a certain amount of streamed hours to keep our free license, which works out as an average of 130 hours a day. Just before Christmas, we were tipping 140 a day. Now we're sitting around 200 a day. So we're certainly getting enough listeners to keep the license free. And we've got live shows every night as well, 7 nights a week.
Hang on. Go full screen. Here you go. You get 30 seconds. Go.
30 seconds. Right, RY4 Radio. Every single night at ry4radio.com, there's a live show. We have Vaping Dog. We also have Vaping Daz. We have Rusty. We have myself. We have Nikki. We have Gaz as well. So that covers the team. And all sorts of different music, lots of chat, vaping phone-ins. If you listened to my show before, it's politically incorrect and we talk about the vaping news and just get drunk. But yeah, that is our
not like my
radio.
show then.
Yeah, your show. Now, your show was something special, wasn't it?
Oh, no, I meant this show. But yes, I did a show. I did a show a couple of weeks ago. I did, didn't I? Tell about my show. It was really good.
It was good. Went on till the small hours.
I couldn't. You couldn't get me off.
Well, I'm supposed to push a button at the end of the show to set the auto to make sure the auto stream comes back in. When you were on, I actually just went, "I'm going to bed," and left it at that. And kept my fingers crossed that everything worked properly.
I was in the mood. So I enjoyed it. I must admit, I really enjoyed it. But I have to say, some of the guys that you've got, in fact, all of the regular DJs actually know what they're doing, which probably makes it more enjoyable to listen to than the show I did. I also had quite a, shall we say, a concentrated range of music that I played. So,
yeah.
And,
it was very very punkish and new waveish.
Yeah. I did take requests, but I was quite clear at the beginning of the show. I said, by all means, send me your requests, and if I like them, I'll play them.
Yeah.
I thought that was fair enough because it was my show. So.
Yeah. And you can do what you like with your own show, you know that.
Yeah, no. If you haven't checked out RY4 Radio, I think I'm right in saying it's 9 o'clock-ish each night.
9 o'clock-ish each night, yeah. With the exception of when there's a VTTV show, there's always something going on RY4, but during the VTTV shows, we tend to wait till after they finish.
Which is damn good of you, I have to say. But it's ry4radio.com, and that'll take you to a homepage, and they've got a chat. If you're watching VTTV live, as I say this, it's exactly the same sort of chat system, so it's really easy. You can use the same ID, and it's just great. And I would definitely recommend checking it out. So I've been listening to it quite a lot from the hotel in Switzerland. See, so if I need to get off to sleep, mind you, your show's on a Friday, isn't it? So.
My show's on a Friday, yeah. You don't need to be sleeping on a Friday night. Anyone does that, it's very, very sad.
Anyway, we better get on with this show, I suppose, haven't we?
I suppose so.
So what we've done tonight is we've as we used to do in the old days, really, isn't it, Tim? We've kind of scoured the internet and come up with a number of topics to go through, and sort of we're going to reflect over the last week. It's getting a lot easier to put these kind of weekly wrap up pieces together over the last since Christmas, really, isn't it? And then there was the Chris Choi thing and everything, and all of a sudden it seems like e-cigs, you can't get them out of the media now. It's
everywhere you look, local papers, the lot. There's something about them.
But what I'm actually going to do for this week, anyway, is I'm going to look at a few pieces that I've spotted via Twitter or people have sent to me, and just developments that have been going on with the TPD itself. And that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with Clive Bates's blog, and a piece that I know, I'll just put this up on screen. This is an article that Dave Dawn did hint at during the week, and I just want to throw a little bit of weight behind this because I think, to be honest with you, this is the kind of thing that VTTV is here to promote. On a date between the 24th and 27th of February, the European Parliament are going to be voting in Strasbourg on what is the first reading of the Tobacco Products Directive that incorporates all of the things that came out of the trilogue process and the council. Okay, so this is where they take the thing that is likely to become law and say, MEPs, vote on this. We know, we've discussed on VTTV over the last couple of weeks, we know that there aren't very many people going to vote against it, and the reason is really, really simple. Most MEPs support the Tobacco Products Directive, and they're not prepared to vote it down just for the sake of e-cigs, because remember, e-cigs, whilst being the most important part to us, and having turned out to be a lot more politically difficult than they ever anticipated, I'm sure, it's actually only one article, Article 18, of a much bigger piece of policy that they want to put through. I think having read Clive Bates's piece on this and spoken to people like Dave Dawn and a lot of other people in the vaping community, I think we all think that the rest of the TPD is a bit pathetic and badly done as well. But MEPs are not prepared to sacrifice it for the sake of e-cigs. So the probability is, because it's a yes or no, do we put this entire document through as it stands or not? There's a guy called Martin Schulz who we were talking about on a previous show, and he has the power to split the vote, to have a separate vote on Article 18. That, if we can persuade him to use his powers to split the vote, we could end up with a situation where they can put through the TPD, but those that want to support us and do not agree with Article 18, the e-cig part of the TPD, can vote against that bit. That would have the effect of letting the majority of people get what they want, the TPD passed as law, and more time for them to properly research and study e-cigs and come up with something far more appropriate than what's in there at the moment.
Would this mean that it became a sort of directive of its very own when it was revoted?
I think that would leave it then open to discussion, and I think that the probability is that it would need its own directive. It would have to be passed into law. Whatever they came up with, the rethink would have to be passed in law some via some other route. It wouldn't be part of the TPD. TPD signed, done, delivered. Now let's deal with the e-cig bit.
Yeah,
now,
I mean, which is ideal, isn't it, for us? That's the way we see it, because it should be in the first place.
We want it out.
Yeah.
Right, because e-cigs have got nothing to do with the TPD, and the TPD's got nothing to do with e-cigs. It's right and it's proper, but it's not happening. So we need to put a lot of pressure on this Martin Schulz character. And do you know what? I've got one of those mental blocks there, and I'm having to look at Clive's blog now to remind myself for his position. He is the president of the European Parliament. Okay. Yeah. So if you go onto Clive's blog, that's clivebates.com. The article, I think it's the second from last one if you get in there quick. He does update it quite quickly. It's entitled Tobacco Directive, Surgery Needed to Remove Harmful E-Cigarette Text. And I do not propose to read it all out now. It's a typically excellent piece of journalism from Clive as usual. And if I just highlight this little bit here on my screen, it says write a letter soon, okay? He's provided a link. If you click this link, it'll load your email program, put Martin Schulz's email address in the to field and all the other members of the Envy committee into the CC field. It couldn't be easier. He's provided a sample text for people who really don't know what to say. He does, however, urge you to use personal experience rather than just copy it verbatim. I've got to be honest. I think if I sent a message like that, as well structured as Clive's, I don't think it'd have as much impact, because you know the finer points of European policy and what's wrong with the process they've gone through and everything like that is not my issue. My issue is they want me to stop. I won't be able to use my e-cig. I can't even find it now. They want to stop me using that, right? And so my letter basically is going to say, because I still haven't done it, but I'm going to do it, is going to say why I don't think they should be taking that away from me. It's that simple. Just speak from the heart. Say, my letter is half done. I've drafted it. It says, I understand that you have the power to split the vote so they can vote on these things separately. It's clearly the right thing to do. You know, because what we've got there at the moment is just not acceptable to vapers. Now, Clive makes the point that one letter can be ignored easily. 1,000 letters is very hard to ignore. You click the link on his website, it'll fill in all the people you've got to send it to. You've only got to type it once and send that email. Okay? And the entire Envy committee get it. Martin Schulz gets it. Then send that email to your own MEPs if they're not on the Envy committee already. Yeah? And tweet them and keep on their case so they can't ignore us. Right? Let's get playing on their conscience. Sure, they can ignore it, but if they've had 1,000 constituents, 1,000 vapers on their case and choose to ignore it, then that should play on a few of their consciences. What do you reckon, Tim? You got anything to add to that, mate?
Well, I mean, you've covered that really nicely, actually, without my help at all. But that's something I will be doing tomorrow anyway. I will definitely be writing mine tomorrow. I mean, I have been writing to my MEPs to such an amount that they think I'm some sort of pain in the arse lunatic. But I'm definitely going to do that tomorrow, and I'm going to encourage as many of my customers as possible to do it as well, so we can get a good sit in there. I mean, it really doesn't deserve to be part of the TPD. We've always said that, and if we've got a chance of getting it out of it, we've got to do it. We've just got to keep pushing as hard as we can.
That sums it up, doesn't it?
It does indeed.
And I know what you mean. That's a fair point. You know, I mean, I've been in anybody that listens' face so often now, and I keep coming back. You start to think they probably think I'm some kind of nut job or something, you know. But the reality is, Clive was on VT Talk during the week, and his message was, you've got to persist. Be persistent, is what he said. And I think that, you know, it's one of those things, isn't it? You either do it, or you don't do it, and then when it goes against us, you wonder if it would have made a difference. If you don't do it, then you'll probably regret not having tried.
Yeah, I mean, it's all very well. A lot of people have said to me that, oh well, it's being taken care of. People are doing it, but like you just said, their letter could make a big difference. It's no good just sitting there on the fence.
I honestly don't understand that it's being taken care of thing. It really, guys, anybody that thinks it's being taken care of, it is not being taken care of. We are now right on the. This is the bloody last chance saloon, isn't it?
It certainly is. Yeah, it certainly is. And it will.
Anybody that has said it's nothing to worry about, it'll go away, they can't do that. They're wrong.
No.
In what, 2 weeks' time?
2 weeks. Yeah.
It is expected to happen. Yeah. So
Yep,
we
2
may
weeks
or
time.
may not be able to influence this, but if you don't try, then you definitely won't, and it'll happen. And you'll be on the black market for anything over 20 milligram juice.
Yeah, and big tanks and all that sort of stuff will all be a thing of the past.
Even that thing. It's a mini B thing.
Yeah.
And a super T.
Oh, yes. No.
Precise. That's it. Can't remember what it was called then. I don't know. I just vape them. But okay, they can't take that off me, obviously. And a lot of people, I've seen a lot of discussion on forums about, well, they're not actually going to ban the manufacture of these devices, are they? And of course they're not. They won't need to, because if there's not a big enough market, because you can't sell them online and in shops, nobody's going to make them. It's a de facto ban.
Yeah, it is.
It's what it is.
It is, yeah.
Yes, if you've got a collection of mods like me, you could perhaps be less concerned about it. But what about everybody else who won't get the opportunity to buy these things? So,
Yeah, it's the new vapors that are going to suffer if it goes through as is.
and blimey, are they going to suffer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Going to be stuck with bloody cigar-likes at 20 milligram or less.
No, not a good world to be living in.
Well, like I say, I mean, for those of us that know and have tasted the nectar, it'll be a black market. But so whilst we'll probably get on and get by, it's not right. Need to make a stand, guys.
Yeah.
Click that link, clivebates.com, and it's the piece was called again "Tobacco Directive: Surgery Needed to Remove Harmful E-cigarette Text." Now then, so that's one thing we could be doing. We've got other things, other initiatives underway as well, haven't we? And we've got a guest coming up after the break, which regular viewers and attendees of the Vapor Trails live chat room may recognise as Blaze. So it took me a while to make the connection. His real name's Liam Bryan. And Liam and a crowd of people have gotten together and organised a political party to basically whip up some publicity and exposure for our case, which is a good thing. So straight after the break, we're going to be having a chat with Liam, aren't we?
We are indeed, mate. We're going to ask him all the questions.
And we're going to find out what it's all about. Now, should we go into the break now?
Yeah.
I want to get him on. I want to wheel him on.
Yeah.
I was going to cover another piece, but having just sort of said that bit, I think we should probably roll along and get him in. So what we're going to do is we'll take our first ad break, and when we come back, hopefully we'll have Liam with us. And if not, you'll see various stings and things while we keep trying to dial him in. See you in a minute. In a bit.
It'll work.
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong?
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box. sponsors of Dave's Tap Box.
And welcome back, and wonderful. For once, the technology's worked. we don't have the best sort of quality of connection here with Liam at the moment, but it's good enough. So I'll start by saying good evening, Liam. How are you doing? Say hello.
Good evening, everybody. I'm doing very, very well, and I'm very excited to be on the other side of the screen.
Yes, because you've been watching Vapor Trials TV for some time, I understand.
Oh, about 6 months, I reckon. Pretty soon after I first got into e-cigs, I stumbled across you guys. Yours was the very first show I saw, Dave. You were doing some wandering around, walking.
Was I?
Do you remember that?
That's got to be more than 6 months ago.
You don't do that anymore, do you?
I walk to the taxi and things now, but
Perhaps that was via YouTube then, a catch-up.
it may very well have been. There is some evidence of the fact that I used to get off my arse every now and then on YouTube still. But okay, let's start with the usual question to anybody that we get on the show. You've told us you've been vaping about 6 months. What made you start?
I heard a programme on Radio 4 about it. And it was you and yours, I think, and they were it wasn't an anti-e-cig programme. They were just covering the phenomena, and they interviewed a guy who had a shop, and he said he had loads and loads of customers, so I went online, gave him a try. Wasn't looking to give up smoking, very common story. And I got a VIP starter, no, not VIP, Jack Vapor starter kit.
Right.
That was definitely able to work. Got another battery. It took me about a month, I think, till I stopped smoking. But yeah, just very, very quickly found it more pleasurable, nicer, and there we go.
So I guess at the time that you were getting involved in all of this then was about the time that people started to be preaching doom and gloom about the Tobacco Products Directive.
Oh, definitely, straight away. As soon as I got into the forums and on the forums, there was an awful lot of that. And that's something, when you stop smoking, you have to find things that take over what smoking had for you. And, the politics has been just as much a part of it for me as the vaping, I think.
If you're anything like me, I've become obsessive about the politics of it. That's what I do now if I'm sitting on a train. If I'm if the boss wanders away from the desk in the office, I'm on Twitter seeing what's going on. But I get the impression that you've been a bit more motivated than most to do something about this, and this is where UK VIP comes in. So I suppose the very first question we need to ask you about UK VIP is it UK VIP or UK VIP? Or how are we pronouncing that?
UK VIP, I go for.
Right.
And it was it's Zach's idea. He's on POTV and UKV.
Yeah, we all know Zach.
Very funny images. I'm sure we've all seen them.
Indeed.
And he just passionately thinks that all the political parties, one way or another, either they promised they'll help us and then they haven't turned up to vote, or they've done a confusing thing on voting on a pro-e-cig amendment and an anti-e-cig amendment at the same time. And we don't know what will happen when it comes to the rubber stamp, whether we'll manage to get Article 18 split up. But even the Liberal Democrats, in many ways, are staunchest supporters. We've been very disappointed with after the latest thing came out. So he wanted a party.
Chris Davis you're talking about, yeah. And I think, a lot of the MEPs, it's like I touched on earlier, I think, their agenda is not the same as ours, and that they have to perform a balance between the e-cig part of the TPD and then the wider TPD, because they do feel very strongly about the actual tobacco that's in there, not the stuff that shouldn't be.
They do, and us forming a party is such an extreme measure that it speaks volumes about the frustration we feel, because we're not at all coming from the same page as them. They want to save the TPD. we know that far more public health benefit will be made by promoting e-cigs. You can ignore the rest of the TPD. So, I mean, we're all vapers. We don't need onerous regulation, and we can prove it. I was looking on a site earlier today that just had lists of all the scientific studies that have been done on nicotine, on e-cigs, and you could just scroll on and scroll on and scroll down that site, pages and pages and pages of them.
This is the thing, isn't it? It's just there's quite clearly a right answer to this, isn't there? It's we do know what's bloody in them. Contrary to the probably the most quoted line that we hear, we know what's in them. We know what harm it's likely to do us. We know it's safer than fags. But yes, we could chat about that for an hour on its own. I'm sure that topic. But I'm going to ask you my first question, right? Okay, Mr. Politician, you ready? Right. A lot of comments, some commenting chat already tonight. Well, the first comment that I got was, and I don't know whether this is a compliment or an insult, but apparently you look like a good politician. So you can take that either way you want. But my first question is the name UKVIP. Does it not sound a little bit like UKIP?
It does sound and look a little bit like UKIP.
Is that intentional? What are your thoughts?
I don't think it was intentional. I think the thread where it first came up, there were a couple of names that Sachs had. One was UKVIP, one was UKVP. And people just started using UKVIP, and we went with it.
Right.
He thinks big, Sachs does. He wanted Vapers Party or Vapers Independence Party as sort of like something to be cross the world. And so we're the UK bit of it. So that tagged on UK to something that ends in P. And yeah, it sounds a bit like UKIP, UKVIP.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
Are UKIP aware of it, and have they made any comment?
Well, we do have to put the name to the Electoral Commission, and they will come back to us and tell us whether we're too similar or not to an existing party.
Okay.
So it may well be that they say, no, look, guys, you're too close to UKIP anyway.
Right.
I think the likelihood is quite.
We've still got all the we've still got UKVP, all the .coms and various things.
And I guess yeah. Okay. So that's what you're going to run with for the moment, because you've got to get started. Because if you faff around forever, you'll never get started. I do appreciate that. And I guess, of course, it also leaves it open to there could be an FRVIP and a DEVIP and so on, yeah? So, I see some logic in that. I mean, my personal feeling on that is the same. When I first read it, I saw UKVIP, but then obviously since I've been researching over the last few days and seeing where it came from, I get it, I think. I get it. But thanks for answering that anyway. Now the real big question. This is the real meat here, right? Okay. What do you hope to achieve? What do you think you can realistically achieve by putting some candidates up for election to the European Parliament?
What we want to do is be another credible voice in the whole e-cig debate. I mean, if you've got a candidate up, you're easy for media people to get in touch with you. You've got mail shot funding. It's like another way to get the message across. It's another pro e-cig voice that we hope to get out there. I mean, if we end up standing in London, which is the plan at the moment, just to retain our deposit, we'd need 125,000 votes. Now that's a pretty big ask. So, I don't think we're in it to win the election, but we are in it to try and get a bit more influence in the debate, to try and get, another e-cig voice out there.
So you're thinking in terms of media exposure, access to things like these mailing lists to promote the issue.
About being another thing that can be taken seriously, seen as people that know what they're talking about with regards to e-cigs, because there is a lot more media interest these days about it, and news editors want someone to turn to. If there's a political party that is known about, they're going to turn to them.
Okay, so bearing in mind what you've just said there, and that is that it's more about increasing exposure and awareness than trying to get a candidate elected, and I understand, and that sounds bang on to me. Will you have all the policies? Because you know what politicians are like. In fact, if you come on VTTV in a couple of months' time, somebody's quite like to ask you, "And what's your policy on immigration?" How are you gonna handle that? Because that's going to come inevitably.
It will, and it's early days. We don't have a policy on immigration. We don't have a policy on finance. We don't have a policy on agriculture, but we've all come from the same place. We've all pretty much come from not really understanding what the EU is or does, and we've all slowly learned and seen that it's about, or to me it appears like it's about lobbying. It's about vested interests. They make nods towards science and do not follow the science. So, if we want policies on things, we will be anti-lobbying, anti-vested interest. We'll follow the science. I'm sure that there are scientists just as good, just as credible as Dr. Farsalinos in other fields.
You would think so.
Follow the science.
Of course there will be, yeah.
You would think so. Okay, that answers the question, I think. We've started to touch on manifesto. So, I think you've pretty much answered the question about manifesto. It's a work in progress.
It is a work in progress. I've had a go actually on a UKV. You can find it if you search for manifesto there, and that's been, I don't know, 3-4 days, and already there's been some superb improvements to it.
You do see it as an interactive process, and you want to know what people think.
Oh, please, the more the merrier. I mean, we want everybody to be involved. In fact, there was a guy called Wellesby today who PM'd me with loads and loads of suggestions that actually turn my mini rant into a proper manifesto.
Right.
So, once I get a time to type those up, it's looking good. I mean, basically, it boils down to David Dorn's out of my cold, dead hands.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. He's got a few other phrases as well. Don't use those in your manifesto. Would be my advice. Okay, so if people, you're saying that you basically want to know what people think. You want vapors' input, anybody's input, I guess. How do they go about that?
Well, we have a Facebook page. If you go on Facebook and search for UKVIP, it pops up as a political party. We will have a website, but we don't have all the content written for it yet. So that's in the process. That's going to be ukvip.info, INFO. All of us, the people involved, we've got Gibbler53, Gary Dibley's agreed to be our treasurer.
He gets around that lad, doesn't he?
He does.
We've all got presences on UKV, AAEC, POTV, the VTTV forum.
So you're pretty easy to find.
You can find us, I hope. And once that website's up and running, that will be a central place to go for it.
Okay, that sounds good. I've got to ask you, right? There's been any number of what's the word I'm looking for? Groups, organisations associated with vaping. Some have been around for a little while, and I like to count VTTV as one of those. Some of them never really got off the ground, and I think we all get passionate at some point, and we try to make a stand and trying to organise some way of getting our voices heard. But quite often these things just go by the wayside. What makes you think that this idea of a political party would be any different to some of those that have failed? Why do you think this is going to succeed?
Well, I can't say it will succeed, and I can't promise that it will succeed, but I can say we're going to try. I mean, just in the last 2 weeks, say, we've got We've got our chair, we've got our strategic head, we've got our treasurer, we've got our secretary, we've got two candidates, myself and Barry Norton, willing to stand for London.
Yes, because we haven't stressed that at all yet, and that's my fault. You're one of two candidates.
That's
currently.
right, that's right.
Yeah.
And, we've got over £600 raised. We're going to try, we're going to put everything into it. We're going to be relentless. We're going to try and blitz the media. We're going to try and refute any nonsense we can. We're going to try and promote vaping any turn that we can. We're just going to give it our best shot, basically. If it works, that is fantastic. If it doesn't work, we had to go. And hopefully we'll get as many people behind us as possible, pushing us along, egging us along, standing as well, and inputting in all sorts of ways.
How many candidates do you think you realistically? What's a good number to aim at? How many candidates would you like to put up in the next European elections?
Well, the way the European elections work, it seems, is that you pay for a region, and each region can field a number of candidates depending on the number of people that live there.
Right.
So if we stand in London for our £5,000, we can put up to 8 candidates up. Now, you can put a candidate up in the UK election for £500, and I think we've got a candidate there. It's still, this is very, very early days.
Sure.
So quite fluid, but to stand as a local councillor costs nothing. So if say our first test run is successful, if we do manage to garner some media attention, if we manage to make a bit of an impression, then 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, well, maybe some people in chat will be local councillors for UK VIP or standing.
Who knows?
As I said before, Sachs does have big ideas.
I mean, I think it should have a candidate in every area of the UK, because there's vapors in every area of the UK, and to achieve sort of ultimate goals, that would, I think, be the way forward, to have somebody in every single area, however they divide them up.
But it's how much? It's £5,000 a pop, isn't it?
That's for the European elections.
Yeah, but for councils, there's no fee, you say?
Councils, there's no fee. I mean, just looking on our Facebook page today, there's people joining and offering help, offering support in their region, asking how they can become activists in their region.
Right.
Definitely.
Okay, well, we've touched on the subject of money. Sounds like you're going to need some.
Yes.
Because £600 is a little bit short of the £5,000 that you need to get going, and presumably there'll be some other operating expenses and everything to get this running. I don't want to pressure you too hard on this, because you've been very clear with it. This is day one, pretty much, isn't it?
It is.
That's not to discredit the idea. I know guys have been working for a couple of months in the background, and I've had a little insight, and I'll just look at the camera to say this. I've had a little insight to the kind of thinking that these guys have done, and the organisation, and the direction that they're clear they want to go in. And this is not just some idea that somebody dreamt up in the bath the other day. There's some structure behind this. But clearly you're going to need finance. How are you going to approach that?
We've thought about branded goods through the website. That's very common for political parties. One thing I'd be really interested in finding out, say, Chat's opinion about, would be, do you think we should accept donations from vendors? That is an issue that comes up, isn't it? Should we be independent? I don't know. I'm interested in opinion.
I think that's something that needs consideration and thought, because there's pros and cons, isn't there?
Yeah.
The obvious pro is they've got all the cash. The obvious con is you then get labelled as industry, astroturfers, blah blah blah. And I'm not prepared to answer that question now. I'd have to scratch my head and listen to a lot of opinions on that personally.
I mean, I think industry has thrown money around a little bit already, and in the direction of other political parties. So it's an avenue that needs to be carefully explored to see how it will pan out.
Yeah, I think that's the best answer you're going to get on the spot, I would think, to that. But it's certainly worth considering, because £5,000 is nothing to a vendor, with a vested interest. Yeah, that requires some thought. I mean, that's a classic case of a forum debate, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
It's one of those things that's come up with everything, with ECA and various other things across the last few years. It's always been a bit of a sticky wicket there.
and usually I've got quite a clear opinion one way or the other. You know, like the ECA thing, I thought it was important to keep that as a consumer organisation. Yeah. Whereas with the recent debate that we've had on vendor funding was the Dr. Farsalinos study, and I thought the vendors actually should have been bloody compulsory that they chipped into that. Frankly,
Yeah,
know?
I agree.
But this one's definitely a grey area for me. I'd have to have a good think about that. It's I'm just looking to see if there's any initial feedback in chat there. And I can see comments here, but if people like Enjoy get involved, then eyebrows get raised, you know. Lots of comments on AstroTurf and Mark Shaw making a cracking point there. It's probably the only chance you have of getting $5,000. I disagree with that, actually. I disagree. I think if this captures the imagination, $5,000 is not a lot to the kind of audience you could be playing to.
The £600 we raised so far, that was raised through one thread that wasn't even a very popular thread over the course of a few days.
Yeah.
I think it's feasible without.
When do you need your $5,000? Because obviously the European elections are not that far away. Are they a couple of months away? Are they?
Yeah.
So when do you need to get registered by?
You pay, I think it's £150 or something to register. I don't think the deposit actually has to be deposited until much closer.
Right. Okay. So there's a little time, but
yeah, but not
forever.
Not a lot of time.
Yeah. Okay. Understood. Okay. So again, the best thing to do there is then to watch the forum threads. Watch out for is the Facebook page? Is that your official voice at the moment?
Until the website's up and running, it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
just so people have got one place to go, because obviously everybody will know their own forums, but I also know from experience that not the whole message doesn't necessarily get onto all forums, does it? And that things go off on different tangents. So to get it from the horse's mouth, the Facebook page is the place to go.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense to me. I mean, is there anything else that you want to say to our viewers tonight? We've got 158 people listening at the moment.
Please get involved. Just, even if it's just to have an idea. I mean, we represent everyone, don't we? We're a section through society, and we contain within our numbers people with expertise, people with skills, people with time, people with ideas, people that can write. And, the more the merrier. Everyone's welcome. Please pop along to the Facebook page just to say hi, and if you feel there's anything you can contribute, please do.
Do you have any questions you want to add, Tim? Or any thoughts?
Well, my thoughts again, going back to the finance thing. I mean, there are allegedly 1.3 million vapers in the UK. If half of them donated £1,
that's quite a few candidates, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an awful lot of candidates. So I mean, it's something. The more coverage it gets, and the more people that are worried about vaping being taken away from them, if they was to send £1 and you were to get half of the UK vaping population giving £1, that funds the party very nicely and keeps it away from industry funding. So
I'm just tracking the chat session there just to see if anything's cropped up. As people trying to find out how they donate. Somebody correcting my figures, 160 online apparently when I said that, so okay, I'm slow. There is this discussion about, as you'd expect, about whether vendors should be asked to donate or not. That's a discussion.
But it's always the same, isn't it? Because if a vendor does donate, then they're thinking, then perhaps the vendor's got some sort of influence. I mean, it's not. It's just about funding something which is right, and gets the voice heard.
Absolutely. I mean, industry and unions and various groups have funded political parties historically. I don't see anything inherently wrong with it. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just a bit browbeaten by the crap that comes out of Brussels. Maybe I should just man up a bit. Maybe you're right. Right, Liam, can I just say thanks ever so much for coming along and putting us in the picture. I know that this is very early days for UK VIP. I didn't say UK VIP. And I know that it's difficult to answer some of the questions at the moment because things are still being formulated. From me, I just want to wish you all the best with this. I think personally, I think the idea's got huge potential, and best of luck.
Thank you very much for having me on, and watch this space, and hopefully we will be back.
And with that, I shall take us nicely into our next commercial break, and let's hope we see Liam back here soon when they've got some of these ideas firmed up, and hopefully they're on their way. See you in a couple of minutes.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
iVaper and iVaper Elixir, based in Yorkshire, for your e-cig needs. That's iVaper.co.uk and iVaper-elixir.co.uk. iVaper and iVaper-elixir.co.uk are proud sponsors of VaporTrails.tv.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
Back in the room. I was multitasking then. I was changing Wirecast with this hand and switching the camera with that hand because we were too busy yakking and I didn't notice the ads were nearly finished. We got there in the end. Okay, well, yeah, that was Liam. Good guy.
Yep.
I liked him. I liked him a lot.
Mhm.
I'm going to be watching that. And
Yeah,
hopefully
me
we'll
too.
get
I
back
think
on.
that's definitely got a pair of legs, that one.
It's got to be tried, doesn't it? It's got to be tried. So, but us, me and him, right? We're gonna put a picture up on the screen now. Which, if you're a Twitter fan, you will have seen doing the rounds over the last few days. I saw it. I think it was Dave Dawn actually tweeted it originally, and I'm just going to put the picture up. And there is literally no prize for guessing where we're going to go with this. Here it is. Look. It's a Nicorette gum advert. Oh, one of them's gum, the other two are lozenges. And success has never tasted so sweet. Well, that depends on your definition of success for a start, doesn't it?
It does.
But this was originally tweeted by CAVR Canada. So that's at CAVR Canada. If you want to go and look whoever that is up on Twitter. And as you can see, it's quite clearly a bunch of nicotine-containing products with pictures of fruits and mints and little captions. I'm not sure if you can read these little captions on the screen, but first one says, like spearmint candy. Spearmint candy. Do you like spearmint candy? The first one says, right?
Yeah.
You'll love Nicorette mint mini lozenges. Like fruit smoothies, you'll like fruit chill gum. Like Macharino cherries, you'll love Nicorette cherry lozenges.
These are all aimed at the children, aren't they?
They've got to be. Nobody
Aimed at the
here is
children.
thinking about the children, are they, Tim?
No.
I think that's
they don't.
absolutely disgraceful. I mean, God, this is normalising nicotine use.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we don't
Get
know
a
what's in
gum
them,
or a
do we?
lozenge. Perfect, but it's just for the kids.
And we don't know what's in them. Oh, actually, we did. We looked at that the other week, didn't we? Yeah, and it was bloody
There was a
nasty,
very long
wasn't it?
list of what's in them.
But I mean, come on. Article 18 is telling us that you can't actually even name the flavour of the e-liquid that you're going to be selling. You know, you're not allowed to say this is fruit smoothie flavour or spearmint candy. Spearmint candy. That's directly targeting children, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Because we know, we all know, we have been taught in the last few months that adults don't like flavours. It must be for the children.
As young as 12, apparently, as well.
Oh my God! Honestly, someone tell me where the content, the consistency is in the message, because I don't bloody get it. Do you? Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm thick.
It's just total opposites. It's one rule for Big Pharma and another rule for the e-cig industry.
Seems to be, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. They're just not playing by the same rules.
Absolutely disgraceful. Just while I'm going to sneak another picture in as well, because just while we're on the subject of pictures, this is a good one that also came from Twitter. I think this one popped up yesterday or the day before. This is okay. It was tweeted by an account called Tobacco Tactics at Tobacco Tactics, and this guy's worth a read. I can tell you, he does send some good stuff. But he's actually crediting somebody called Choose Vapor for retweeting what he describes as Ash Scotland's picture, and you can see it's quite clearly headed "The Truth About Our Propaganda." So I'm guessing that picture is an Ash Scotland publicity thing or something, and it says Section 9: some chemicals found in tobacco. And I'll just get, they're telling you that there's formaldehyde in cigarettes and arsenic and cadmium and tar. And basically what goes around here is just basically debunking what they're saying. For example, if we take vinyl chloride, apparently there's 0.0086 nanograms of vinyl chloride in one cigarette. This means you would have to smoke 250,000 cigarettes to equal a single grain of salt's worth of this chemical compound. Right, so that kind of tells you the sort of the way the propaganda works, yeah. So they're listing this as a bad thing, but you'd need to smoke 250,000 fags to consume the same amount as is in a grain of salt. Right. Arsenic is equivalent to 3,100 fags. Nickel, 195 fags. Compared to a grain of salt and so on. But this is the best one, right? It's got down here tar, used to tarmac roads. Right. Okay? And the caption on it is brilliant. It just says tar is an acronym for total aerosol residue. Now, I didn't know that, but I don't work in tobacco control, so I could probably be excused, yeah? But I knew it wasn't the stuff they make roads with, yeah?
We see, I didn't. I thought it was.
To me, that's not logical, because burning tobacco wouldn't make tar like tarmac. But that's what this comment is saying anyway. It's not the same substance as what is used for tarmac. Either this is a blatant deceptive lie, or tobacco control actually believes this is the same as tarmac. We're not sure which is worse. Yeah. And I just thought that was a lovely. I mean, there's some clever people on our side, aren't there?
There are. There certainly are. I mean, 99% of the population thinks it's road tar.
I didn't. Actually, I genuinely didn't. I thought they called it tar because the consistency. It's like tar. I didn't think it was the same thing, but I never knew it stood for total aerosol residue.
No.
So there you go. No. Every day's a school day, yeah?
It is, yeah. Especially for me. I mean, I'm looking at the picture. They've got a picture of a battery. Is that also for the cadmium? Yeah.
That's for the cadmium and nickel. Yeah. So cadmium is the grain of salt, 210,000 fags. Yeah. Right, anyway, we've just about got time for me to refer to Clive Bates's blog again. And I'm just going to pop this up. Except it's gone a bit slow, so I won't. Clive did a guest blog. He had somebody provide a guest blog. And I can't get the thing up now because
I've got it up.
It's not happening. Have you?
I've got it. Well, I've got it in front of my eyes. I can't put it up on the screen.
Some reason it's there we go. I got it. I'm just going to read this through. It won't take very long. The guest blog was done by somebody called Louise Ross, and she runs the Leicester Stop Smoking Service. And just to give you a little insight there, let's pop this page up. Leicester Partnership, NHS Trust, their Stop Smoking Services and Tobacco Control. Right, so it's a quick clinic. Yeah, and the lady that runs this, Louise Ross, has done a guest blog on clivebates.com. It's the current front page, and I tell you, this is well worth a read. It says, by Louise Ross, the Leicester Stop Smoking Service Manager. Note, views are my own and don't necessarily represent my organisation. She says, I'm really proud of my Stop team, compassionate and experienced, and with genuine commitment to improving the health of some of the most disadvantaged people in our communities. We've always had really good sign-up and success rates until the end of 2012-13. Something happened to the number of calls coming in, and it was like a shutdown that seemed to happen almost overnight. It was, of course, e-cigs that had caused this falling out of faith with what we traditionally offered. I did a straw poll with my team, asking them to count the number of times e-cigs were mentioned by callers or service users. We had around 150 mentions in a 2-week period. While everything seemed to be grinding to a halt, I saw the invitation to go to the e-cig summit in London, November 2013. I knew that I had to equip myself with better knowledge about the devices, their appeal, and why they had captured the imagination of smokers who wanted to change their smoking behaviour. I was intrigued to see people vaping indoors, and it was clear that there was no smell. I talked to vapers who were so helpful when I asked naive questions. The summit was a turning point for me. I went back to Leicester, determined to find a way to make an offer to Leicester smokers that enabled them to get the extra support that would help them stop smoking for good, while not getting ourselves in trouble for recommending, in inverted commas, e-cigs. And I'll come back to that line at the end. We started talking to a retailer who has a shop near our office. We got him into 2 team meetings to talk about his own use of e-cigs and what his customers say. This was the team's own turning point, and they were enthused by his sincerity and his genuine interest in the same things as they were, helping people avoid the real harms of smoking combustible tobacco. I'm just going to briefly pause there and go, God, this makes it's like a breath of fresh air. Other supporters emerged, including key people in public health, a professor at Leicester University, a GP who wishes he could have given them to all his smoking patients. We ran a hugely successful e-cig learning forum in January, and one of the highlights was a vapers panel, where Leicester vapers told the audience about their experiences and answered a bombardment of questions from the floor. At the start, we did a polarisation check. How many of the 100 attendees were broadly in favour, broadly against, broadly on the fence? It was about a third for each. We did it again at the end, and almost all of the audience voted in favour. The chair, Professor David Simpson, said he'd never seen such a swing. Between us, we've devised a plan that will not only encourage Leicester smokers to see my team, but will also give them better information about the option of using e-cigs, with an emphasis on second-generation models for better results. As a thank you for taking part in a longer look at what happened after they finished seeing us, we're offering a £30 voucher to all service users who get to 4 weeks smoke-free with e-cigs. This will give us some real insight into longer term results. We're just getting the info leaflet ready and I'll share it very soon. I'm grateful to all the vaping tweeps. I don't like that word, but
No.
I've met on Twitter. Well, where else would you meet tweeps? But there you go. Who have helped me understand what I need to do. So apologies for insisting on reading all that out. But basically, every word needed reading out. See,
It's so positive.
there are people out there who work in tobacco control, smoking cessation industry, whatever you want to call it, for the right reasons. And when they see an option that gives them better success, they embrace that option. Louise Ross, you're brilliant, okay? And I just wish there were more like you.
Well, there are like-minded people like her. I mean, down here in the town, there's a stop smoking clinic in town. There's one in every town, and I get 5 to 10 people a week come in who have been sent over off the back of a stop smoking clinic nurse talking to them to find out more about what we do.
Yeah.
And it's I'm sure that's happening all over the place, but like they say, they can't be seen to be.
I said I'd go back to that one line, didn't I? And this is the only thing disappointing about this whole piece. It says Leicester smokers that enable them to get the extra support that would help them smoking for good, while not getting ourselves in trouble for recommending e-cigs.
That's the big one.
She's breaking ranks. She had to qualify this right with her very first sentence, saying it's her own views and not her organisation's views, and it's wrong, guys. Because here's somebody who deals with this firsthand. Okay, she sees people who don't know what e-cigs are. They come to try NRT. She knows what works because she's on the front line. She's at the coalface, to use that old analogy. She knows what works. It's just brilliant. It's just brilliant, and I hope it sets a trend, it sets a precedent, and some other people sort of step forward. That would be lovely. The only other comment in there that I wanted to highlight as well was the GP who wishes he could give them to his smoking patients. It makes you wonder: does that GP say, "Hey, look, I'm not supposed to recommend this, but here's a website. Go buy an e-cig"? I'm sure some of them do, but wouldn't it be nice if they could just do what is clearly right and say, "Try an e-cig"?
Yeah.
Nice to hear as well, second generation.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah. Not the sort of thing that the Tobacco Products Directive are actually going to want her to use, unfortunately.
No, not at all.
Anyway. We've hit time. We've overrun slightly.
Have we? Oh, blimey, we're probably in
Doesn't
trouble.
it just fly by when you've got something to talk about? Tim, it was great having you on again.
Been a pleasure, mate.
We shall
Anytime.
have to do it more often.
Yeah.
And so thank you very much for giving up your Sunday night and coming along. So to you and to everybody else out there, I'll say thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Say bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, in a sort of bye-ish tone.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.